Hi everybody and welcome to Live with OKclarity. Tonight's live will give you clarity on boundaries and self-care during the holidays. A quick disclaimer, everything discussed tonight is for educational and entertainment purposes and it does not replace medical, psychological, or wellness advice. All right, thank you everybody for being here. So let's talk about how hypnosis can help us with boundaries and self-care during the holidays. So October is busy holiday season. We just had Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and Sukkot is coming up. So, and welcome to all the people that said hi in the chat. Thank you for being here. I'll take questions at the end. If you want, you can post in the chat and I'll take questions at the end. So the holidays is a beautiful time. However, it can also be a triggering time. We could have triggers emotionally, being around family members that we might have conflict with, or past triggers that might come up that we might not see them so often, but then we might see them now and things might come up. People might say things, do certain things that can trigger us. So how do we feel more resourced during holiday season? And that's what this live is about. So now how does hypnosis help with that, you may ask? So hypnosis, think about computer and software. Whatever software is in the computer, that's what runs. So too, we have the power to program our subconscious, our software, for what we want. So if we program boundaries and self-care during the holidays, then it will become easier and more natural to implement the boundaries and self-care that we want. So it's almost like a trick. Like we're programming the subconscious what we want, so we don't have to work so hard. It's like happening with us, for us. So when we think about what we may need during, let's say, think about Sukkot, potentially, the next big Yantif coming up, I might think about, well, everyone obviously is unique. So some people might be hosting, some people might be going away, some people are married, some people are single, some people have families. Everyone has their own unique situation. That's why obviously it's best when it's personalized and customized to you. But just general, right? So when we think about our physical needs, so physically, what food do I enjoy? If I'm going away, I might want to offer to bring something or make something that is special to me. It makes me feel like I'm at home. What about physically my space? Are there some things I could bring to make my bed more comfortable if it's not my bed, right? There's like different props, comfortable pillows, right? What physically can you have in mind to make your space be optimal and comfortable for you given whatever circumstance you're in? And then entertainment, right? What books do you enjoy? What magazines do you enjoy, right? What are your entertainment possibilities? There's a lot of free time. How could you nourish yourself in ways that feel good besides physically food and physically comfort of sleep arrangements? And then about what social plans could you think about in advance? Maybe meeting up with a friend or a family member in the area that you know will be extra meaningful for you. So just taking the time, and even if you want now while you're listening to this live, or if you're listening to this later, you could take out a piece of paper and jot down, what would support me physically during this holiday season? And again, in terms of diet, if you're on a restricted diet, having in mind those foods, asking, your host if it's possible to accommodate, etc. Okay, so physically is relatively easy compared to emotionally. So emotionally could be really challenging, right? Like we mentioned earlier, getting triggered around family members is something we all experience in different degrees. And how do we come into the holidays feeling resourced around that? So I want to break it up into two categories. If you can step away and if you can't step away. Meaning, let's say you're at a table eating a delicious meal and someone makes a comment to you that's triggering. So in the moment, you might not be able to just get up and excuse yourself. Maybe you can, but maybe you can't. So if you cannot, what can you do to help yourself? So we could create a boundary around us. Think about like a glass eggshell, like an imaginary glass eggshell. And we could picture ourselves in our center, in our gut or in our heart centered or in our root chakra, if that's meaningful for you, centered in your body. And picturing this like glass eggshell around you, and that the comments literally like bounce off. They're repelled by this glass eggshell. So this imaginary boundary could help us feel contained, and safe. So yes, you could say, well, this is easier said than done. Absolutely. But again, it's a skill. The more we practice, the easier it'll be, and the more it'll be more natural to us, second natured. So for example, if I know that a certain person makes comments that are triggering to me, in hypnosis, I could visualize myself in my protective shell, and I could picture those comments literally bouncing off. And then I could picture myself anchoring into myself, self-soothing, and telling myself the messages that I need to hear in that moment. So for example, maybe I need to hear, it's okay, it's not me, it's them. I don't allow thoughts, feelings, and ideas that don't support me enter my boundary. I am safe, I am enough, I am loved, I am good enough. It's okay, I am strong, I got this, right? What do you need to hear in that moment? So self-soothing and nurturing and loving yourself and being your own loving mother is so important in those critical moments. And then, if possible, maybe you do want to excuse yourself. Let's say the conversation ended or the meal ended and you could leave, right? How do you take care of yourself then? Where's a private space to be with your emotions? Is it the bathroom? Is it the bedroom? Can you go into a safe space and feel your emotions and release the anger, the sadness, the pain? Right? Let yourself cry. Let yourself punch a pillow or scream into a pillow. Release the emotion. It's real. It's valid. And it's healthy to release it. And then how you self-soothe yourself. Like, I know this is so hard. I know it's not fair. But I got this. I'm getting stronger every day. I'm not allowing these thoughts, feelings, and ideas enter my boundary. I am safe. I am protected. Right? I'm feeling nourished or resourced, either by picturing like a loving figure in your life, like maybe holding you, supporting you, or if you could picture that, being enveloped in God's love and protection, whatever works for you, feeling that sense of safety and protection. So you could self-soothe and take care of yourself. And then, are there people in your environment, even in where you are physically in that house, or maybe you made plans, part of making plans in advance of meeting up with somebody who is a safe person, to be able to talk about it and process it and get support from somebody else. So it's co-regulation and not just self-regulation. Self-regulation is so important, and co-regulation is so important also because we need others also to self-soothe, to support us, to hold us in our pain and what's triggering for us. So coming up with a plan that takes care of yourself pre-going into the situation, during the situation, but all this is pre-planned, can help one go into the holiday season feeling more resourced and supported and be like, okay, I got a plan. I know triggers are going to happen. This is what I'm going to do physically to take care of myself. This is what I'm going to do emotionally to take care of myself. These are the people that are safe in my environment to talk to. So we don't feel like, oh, we're just walking in and like, oh, whatever happens, happens. But no, we have more control and agency over it. At the same time, what other self-care strategies could you do? Could you take a walk, right? Could you do some form of movement that feels good to you, like walking? And then on that walk, when you maybe reflect on the situation, can you notice how far you've come? Could you notice how well you're doing? That even though the situation is not perfect and not ideal, and you wouldn't ask for it if you were given a choice, you're still proud of how you handled it. And you could give yourself a pat on the back and say, you know what? I did better this time than last holiday or last year. I handled this so much better. I'm not taking in those negative messages. I love myself more. I'm supporting myself more. I'm being more kind, more gentle, more loving to myself. And that's huge. So celebrate your wins, because every time you are more kind, loving, and gentle to yourself, that will become your new normal, and it will be easier and easier for you to be more kind and more gentle to yourself. So it's so important to celebrate these little wins that are not little at all, because being triggered could bring up a lot of pain and old stuff and maybe unprocessed trauma. And we want to be very kind, loving, and gentle with ourselves, and obviously reach out to the right support and the mental health professionals to support us on this. Because again, hypnosis is just adjunctive care to medical and psychological treatment. It does not replace medical or psychological treatment. So it's a great adjunctive care to support you in these trigger times with your other mental health professionals. All right. So we talked about how to help ourselves physically. We talked about how to help ourselves emotionally. And we talked about ways that we could love ourselves, comfort ourselves, support ourselves through physical attributes, physical movement. And another thing is when we come before the holidays, and again, if we're walking into a potentially challenging situation, coming with realistic expectations could also help. Meaning, if you come prepared knowing that this might happen, then when it happens and you already know how you're going to handle it, it's much easier than like being shocked, right? Because sometimes we're like shocked that something happened, even though it keeps on happening in the past. So why are we so shocked? So if we're more honest and prepared of this is the situation, this most likely will happen. When it does, this is what I'm going to do. It would help us feel less disappointed and angry because we almost expected it. Not that it takes away the pain that we're in the situation, that's not ideal, but it helps us feel like, okay, I know this might happen. It happened. I got this. I'm processing it. I'm taking care of myself. And it's not going to like ruin and cloud the other enjoyable, positive aspects of the yontif that I do enjoy. And again, all of this is easier said than done, and I fully acknowledge that, and we're all a work in progress, and that's why reaching out to the right supports is so, so important. So again, how does hypnosis help with this? So hypnosis helps is that we can program these action steps in hypnosis. We could program what belief I need to believe about myself. So if my goal is to have a relaxing, enjoyable yontif, I need to believe that I deserve that, right? So I could program maybe, for example, because Hashem loves me and wants me to have a beautiful yontif, therefore I easily enjoy all the beauty of yontif. And when triggers come up, I do blank, blank, and blank, right? We could program the exact action steps. So when triggers come up, I go into my glass eggshell around me, my boundary. I dispel any negative beliefs that come my way, and I ground in my truth that I am lovable, I am worthy, I am good enough, I am loved, I am safe, I'm supported, right? We could ground in our own truth, and then we could do our self-care like we said, going to a quiet space, feeling and releasing emotions, telling ourselves the positive self-talk, maybe go on a walk and talk to a safe person. And these, again, are some of the action steps we can actually program in hypnosis. And what's so cool about hypnosis is that it's recorded. So you're listening morning and night. So the repetition, learning occurs with repetition. So the repetition of what we want is what creates it for us. The subconscious hears it, and with the repetition, hears it again and again, and it creates that reality for us. And then you can visualize your goal achieved. You can visualize yourself having a beautiful yontif. You can visualize yourself enjoying the delicious food, the company, all the positives, the beautiful, the abundance, right? The variety of delicious foods, the outdoor breeze of the sukkah, and all the beautiful things that you do enjoy. You could visualize that and fill yourself up with that joy and that pleasure and program the yontif that you want. So in hypnosis, we could program what we want, and we could program resources and tools to help us. For example, some of that we discussed tonight. So if you are so inclined and you want to jot down for yourself, what are my emotional triggers? What are tools I could use to help me coming into the next yontif? What are the physical, emotional tools I could use for myself? And then if you want, you could program that by relaxing your body and programming the imagery of using those resources and tools and visualizing your ideal yontif. All right, I hope that was helpful to you. If you have any questions, now is a good time to ask them. All right, it was so enjoyable connecting with all of you. Have a beautiful yontif, and may it be filled with play, fun, pleasure, and may you feel resourced and supported. Have a great one.